All right, lesson number 2 on lighting. Okay, we're going to take our pieces here and kind of tweak them a little bit with some soft lighting, and that does a couple different things. While we're doing lighting, we're kind of changing the textural range of the pieces as well. All right, so we're going to be killing two birds with one stone here. Okay, we're going to be going with our white pigment ink, the same pigment ink that we used on our, oh, I don't know what that is. It's a sun or a moon, or, it's whatever you want it to be, really. But basically, it's our source of light. Okay, I have 100% cotton ball here, and that's really important because that's going to be something that absorbs some moisture. If you go with an acrylic one, or a synthetic cotton ball, it kind of wicks moisture. It pushes it away. But what we want to do is we want to absorb moisture so that we have ink to transfer onto the piece. If there's no ink in here, then we can't transfer anything. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this white pigmenting pad, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap it into it like this. Now my pad is really quite dry here, okay? But what you might be getting is you might be getting some fraying on your cotton ball. This cotton ball right here it's relatively flat, but what we're going to do is we're going to push this into, I take the lid of the pad and I just smash that down. What it's doing is it's pushing some moisture, which would be the ink, back into the cotton ball, okay? Now, if your cotton ball is actually, or your pad is just really, really juicy, then you might not want to take too much of this ink into it, okay? I'm going to have to take quite a bit of mine by doing multiple applications of that ink into here like this, okay? So I smash this down like this to get a nice, smooth, flat surface like that, okay? All right, so where do you apply this? Well, we can apply it really anywhere. This could represent lighting. It represents kind of like a mist in the air, okay? And I always apply that in my pieces. I don't know if it's 100%, but it's definitely in the 90%. 90% of the scenes that I do that have this quality to it, because it just really expands a lot of the visual vocabulary in just a really an easy way. Okay, so I'm going to be applying it to these. Now these ones again, you can see they're all smudgy and stuff, but this is just an exercise here. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at, the direction of our lighting. So our lighting is coming from this direction right here, okay? So we've darkened the far side of these tree trunks right here. But what I'm going to do, and we're not going to do it over the whole, height of the tree trunks here, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to apply a little bit on the side of some of these trunks that are facing the light, okay? And we'll do a little bit of comparison contrast here. So right here, I dab it around it up here. I didn't do it down here. Did some right up here. And we'll do some right over here too, okay? Now, if you have a lot of ink on this, you can just kind of wipe some of it off if you applied too much, okay? I'm wiping off mine all the time from applying a little bit too much. But see these right here? You can see the little bit of difference here. It's a little bit more grayish in tone or in value than the black over here. Or we can put these like this. You can see the difference between this one and this one, okay? So here we've darkened the far side with a black colored pencil, and we've lightened the near side to the light, okay? Let's put a little bit more around this one right here, okay? Maybe the one really close to that, light source or closer gets a little bit. Let me transition that a little bit. Like I said, what you don't want to do is you don't want to go put like gigantic blobs down. But in this one right here, it doesn't really matter because you can just wipe it off. So what I do is I rotate my cotton ball and I just kind of wipe some off if I need to. Okay, now that represents kind of lighting hitting those tree trunks right here. But what I like to do too is I like to bring some of that down into my forest floor or whatever type of situation there might be at the base of kind of objects in general. Could be trees, could be structures like a cabin or something like that. Anything, covered bridge, anything like that. Waterfalls are fantastic for this type of thing. But what we do is we take this and we start to apply it down here. Now, I did a really rough application of these shadows in here. You can see it's all, it's real textural, okay? But this can also be something that remedies some of this. That's why I don't really worry about getting like super smooth applications of ink or colored pencils or anything like that, because I just go into it anyway, kind of towards the end, or maybe it's the last thing I do. And I put this like hazy type of fog down there. So the tree's anchored through shadings because I'm not putting it all down that way, okay? But I put a decent amount. Here, let's bring some in here, over here. So I put some up here and none right here, and I'll put a little bit more right down here. Okay, so what we're doing is we're kind of oscillating the usage of lighting and texture. And lighting is lighting through the use of contrast, okay? If something has to be darker next to it, if I put a bunch of white right here against white, there's not going to be any contrast because it's just like white on white. So there's nothing to define that being light right there. Now, if that was right there on the back of this card, on this white, it would look dark, okay? But it being that there's something dark next to it, it becomes light. Okay, let's take a look here and let's apply a little bit more down here, like about like so. Now the key to this one is just you're kind of dry brushing this on. I mean, I have a little bit more, but I kind of use a lighter touch when I'm doing this like this. And think about it like you're applying kind of a powder. Now, if you're getting big globs, then, you might have to dab some of it off a little bit or a lot, Sometimes oftentimes when I was kind of learning how to do this, I probably removed more ink than I actually applied because I'd apply a little bit too much and I'd wipe it off and I'd kind of tweak it until I got it, the way that I wanted. Okay, so let's take a look and just play a little contrast with that. But look at the range of this one. This is something that's soft up here. My shadow areas down here are a little bit soft, but this looks much more illuminated, luminous, or whatever, with light, okay? Now these are just exercises too, okay? We'll be applying some of this on, colored paper or scenes that have been colored in the background. But this is what's going on, and it's really easy to see on this paper right here because it's just working in grayscale. So it's a really good fundamental type of exercise to do, utilizing grayscale for these kind of fundamental types of, I don't know, foundational kind of concepts here. All right, let's do it on this one right here. So we put the light sources right here. And so I don't have it just coming in on one side of this one. So what we'll do is we'll put some lighting on right here on the interior of these two trunks right here. And maybe this one we can put a little bit around the edges. I don't know. Let's take a look. There's no right or wrong. It's not like, oh my God, I used it on the wrong side. But if you want to reiterate lighting, you kind of follow your shadow scheme that you've applied. Okay, no, see, here, let me just do this. I'll do this really minimally here. Okay, so this one is on the left side of the trunk, and this one's on the right side of the trunk because, again, the lighting is coming from right there. Let's use just that little bit like that. See how it really expands the visual language of that tree trunk. Now we have it's both crisp, dark and light, but it's also soft and kind of glowing, okay? All right, now let's see right here. I don't know how this will look. I usually don't do this on these trees, but let's take a look. So I'll just say the lighting is coming from behind this trunk, and I don't know, we'll take a look on both sides. Now remember, that's all smudgy from my application yesterday. Let's see, let's put a little bit on both sides of this one right here. Take a look at that. See how it looks. Let me see if I can kind of smooth out my shadow area a little bit too from a very rough application. Like that, I think that looks pretty good. That looks like a glowing kind of shadow area. And let's take a look at some pieces. Where this is kind of applied here. Okay, so right down here we have these beams, but I don't know if you can see that luminous kind of application of white down in here. It's a little bit down here, like you can see this, like right here, where that's been applied. It looks, you know, just like this right here, but it's on the green. So you can see this kind of, I don't know, whatever luminous fog coming around the corner like that, all right? So this is kind of this concept and application, and then I've applied some of that pigment ink, like right around in here too, just to make those areas kind of glow a little bit more. And then right here, where do we see it? See it right here? See how effective this is right at the base? And here's the deer right here. It's the base of the deer. Oh, and here it is right here, right on the edge of that tree trunk. Okay, so it's kind of like, you know, these ones right here, you know, the moon's coming, you know, the lighting is on the opposite side, but you can see that lighting right in here. So it's like on the side of the trees facing our light. This one right here, it's on the left side. All right, so that is how to apply that. Let me see if I could do something right here. Now, this one's on kind of a darker piece of paper, of course. It's not a dark piece of paper, but it's darker than white, of course. So let's say that this is a little bit of, you know, I don't know, whatever, you know, the forest floor. So I'll illuminate that a little bit like that. All right, so that's some lighting coming in. I mean, it looks really weird in here without anything else. I'd probably have a little bit more kind of a cloudy mist buildup in here. So let's apply some of that like this. Now, I don't necessarily like just the look of this, but what we'll do is we'll get to some crisp applications of lighting that will apply to these after this concept right here, okay? So kind of move this around, kind of wipe some off. You kind of, you know, applying it in there, and, you know, like I said, you're removing a lot of it. Don't worry if this looks kind of weird, you know, when you're doing it, because what we're going to do is we'll apply some, like I said, some crisp applications. But you see that kind of like little fog creeping in like that? Now, remember, kind of use a little bit of a dry brush type of application, and it'll look a little bit more natural like that. So almost do it where when you first start doing it, applying it, you can't see anything at all, okay? And what I mean is by that is, you know, like one little application, it doesn't, you know, yield anything, but only through kind of repetitive applications that does it really start to build up like that. And then you get this kind of misty look that's kind of illuminated. You can even put some around this moon like this, or sun, or whatever it is, like this, just to make that look a little bit more diffused, like that lighting around it. I don't know, that didn't really do anything to it. I'd have to apply a little bit more, like something like that. So we have our soft lighting. It's kind of a directional lighting too, you know, just based on where the light source was on these pieces. These pieces right here, they can also use a little bit of a, you know, grass textures or pebble textures down there, and we'll do some of that. And we'll finish off these pieces like this. So you can even see how kind of having this all smudgy kind of background and things like that, how we can kind of bring it all together with some additional foreground imagery. But we're focusing right now on lighting, and now we're working on kind of lighting and texture at the same time, and this one being the soft texture. Will come in with pens specifically, and we'll add in some crisp lighting and textures after that, which will be a complement to something like this, you know, this ball, okay? All right, and then we'll apply these concepts in a, you know, quick and easy, but hopefully really dynamic card construction. All right, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop me a note in the comment section. And thanks as always for tuning into the channel.